I'll update you on a few things. Yesterday, I went to the doctor, my neurologist, and the doctor told me that somehow I always thought curvature of the spine was bad, but what I was told yesterday, and I fully haven't processed all this, but essentially, whenever I had my back surgery, they said I lost some of my curvature, and now my back is straight, and that they want to see me get back some curvature or whatever. And essentially, what she was saying is it has something to do with like shock absorbing. You lose some of that shock absorbing, and so essentially what they were saying was that like even driving in the car or different things like that, it puts a lot of pressure on things. And because I was telling them I don't struggle with a lot of pain, it's just my muscles lock up, like the time I couldn't walk, my I was using a walker, uh because my legs were weak, and then I had to get anti-inflammatories, a shot, and all of that. But anyway, I'm scheduled to get an MRI and all of that. So I ask you all's prayers for that. Let's see what's coming up. If today's Wednesday, and I honestly don't know if today is Wednesday, I'm lost right now. But if today's Wednesday, I believe Kelly Powers is going to be doing a stream addressing free gracers, and I know praise I think is going to pull up. At least last time I checked a couple days ago, but I'm probably going to pull up as well. I have some seminary homework to do, but I got the lectures read. All I got to do is take the quiz, and I may be able to put off the quiz until tomorrow. And the reason I want to go on Kelly's show is because anytime you have an issue or something you need to clarify, not necessarily against a brother or just, I mean, that's definitely true if it's against a brother, but if you have an opportunity to clarify an issue, do it as soon as possible, you know? Because otherwise you're not going to be able to focus on the things you need to do now, you know? It helps you have a clear conscience so that you could serve God and focus on what you do. Because in ministry and in life, you need to know that you have a clear conscience. You need to know, okay, God is with me in this. Because if it's done in the flesh, if it's done in your own strength, it's going to fail. And the safest place to be is in the will of God, as I've always been told. So that's just a general principle there. Um, well, y'all know that I had that debate with Scott Clem over premillennialism. I mainly focused on the binding of Satan, uh, that Satan is not bound right now. And partly is I was buying more time. I need more time to get into eschatology more. And that seemed to be the easiest approach for me to take, that a lot of premillennialists, regardless of what your view of the rapture is, or even dispensationalism, they can agree on that. And so that's the reason I took that approach. Um, I think my next debate is with Sean Griffin, and we're going to be debating the three-legged stool. In times past, in the last couple free grace debates, I've used the three-legged stool as an attempt to simplify my arguments for free grace. And it's based off the idea that in every one of my free grace debates, I keep coming back to these same issues. And I feel like that uh, there's a lot of areas I want to be a lot like Dr. Wilkin, you know. But there's also some areas where I see that because I'm on this battlefield doing these debates, I've seen how these guys are doing this stuff in real time, and I take the scholarship of Wilkin and other free gracers as well as my own, and I give a presentation in such a way that cuts through a lot of the mess. And I felt like that had Wilkin been a little bit more like me with Steve Gregg, I think it would have been more clarification. But like I said, Dr. Wilkins is a scholar, so I'm just saying, I think I might have some insight, hopefully in the future, because I'm applying their stuff, and maybe one day they'll look at my debates and they'll say, "Oh, okay, that's interesting. Let me take that and develop that." But regardless of all that, here's my point: the three-legged stool is basically off of one moment of belief, one death, one resurrection. Okay, and what's interesting about the three-legged stool is focus and flexible free grace can use the stool and emphasize different points. Well, Sean Griffin wants to come after the stool, okay? And so as he's coming after this three-legged stool, I'm going to emphasize the resurrection, right? And I'm going to try to grant as much as I possibly can to Sean to try to get as close to his position as possible so that I can see what necessarily follows from what. You know, I have another debate with Dit, and he has one with Dit's a free gracer with Dan Chapa. And so after Dit debates Dan Chapa, I'll be able to study from that and better prepare for my debate with Dit over First John, and that's going to be in December. The debate with Jeff Dollar has been moved to December, at the end of December, I think. And I have a Hebrews debate with, oh gosh, I can't remember his name right now. He's a doctor, if I remember right, of the hyper, if you or dispensational salvationist category. I just say that. Hey, Quad. So, yeah, basically, I, and of course, things are getting tight, with the seminary class, we're getting down to the time, and I got to start preparing for my final. Good thing is I don't have a paper to write, but I am tutoring some other people. Yes, Dr. George Antonios. But I am helping other people with their seminary stuff. So, all those things are going on. Let me think what else. I don't know what's on y'all's mind. Quad, you got anything you want to mention? I got about, let's see, I don't have to clock in to 9:40. It's 9:25. So, I'll go ahead and change the topic for a minute. I don't know if y'all know who Laza Alexander is. He was a rapper that got famous off that song, Let's Go Brandon, which basically is a way to say F Joe Biden, right? He got famous off of that, and he's had a lot of other political songs and all of that. Well, recently he's gone after Eminem. And so I addressed him, addressed his arguments. I'm not a good rapper, I think I got good lyrics. I could be a great ghostwriter, you know. There's a lot of things I can learn, mechanics or whatever, but I just use it a way to break ice and interact with people. Well, I made some videos, kind of addressing that, rapping as well as just different things related to that. 1 second, Quad. I'll interact with that in just a second. So anyway, this is allowed for me to catch people that I don't know what their faith is, but they're interacting with me about Laza. I think he's got cancer or dying of cancer. So, there's an emotional attachment to that, and they want to say Eminem compromised, and they're going at it from that angle and everything. But I just ask for y'all's prayers because, like I said, it draws different people to the channel that may not necessarily be in this content. But as far as I understand, Laza is a Christian. But, this argument that Eminem is compromised, well, why don't we just say Laza's compromised? And what I mean by Laza is compromised, he can't make a song without a cuss word in it, at least the ones that I've seen. And, Eminem said, Will Smith don't got a cussing record to sell records. What I do. So F him and you too. So Eminem knew at that point that when he would sell records, he was cussing. So yeah, he was compromised from the beginning. But Eminem wasn't walking as a Christian. In one song on Infinite, he said, in the midst of this insanity, I found Christianity to help with the stress when I'm moping depressed or something like that. But regardless of all that, the point is that if you're a Christian and you're making that music, then I hope you're free grace, I hope you're free grace and you got an antinomian streak and you just need to mature. But man, if you got cancer If you're on the verge of dying and you're trying to make an impact in your area, maybe on the abortion scene, or the sway things in that way, that's a significant thing. But at the same time, you're also laying a standard for other people. So this whole idea that, Eminem's compromised, well, I would argue that Laws is compromised from the very beginning. Now, if you just look at him, he's a political rapper. Okay, fine. He's not a Christian rapper. Well, there's a difference between a Christian rapper and a rapper that's Christian, right? Some people put it that way. And it's just like, rap is opportunistic. He released that song about Eminem to sway the elections and also to ride the wave of the elections. But let me interact with the chat about that. But I just want to put that out there. Let's see. I got to figure out what I'm gonna do right now for my long paper and research and tools. Yeah, are you taking? You're at Schaefer, right? And are you taking? I can't remember what seminary you're at, but and Mullen idea doing a rebuttal of the pre-wrath rapture. It's a 25-page limit, so I need something rather long. Oh, that would be good. That would be great, and that would be useful in terms of ministry as well. So if you're in research at Schaefer, that's Mill's class. I'm sorry, I can't really remember what seminary you're at, but yeah. But if so, okay, that's great. Wow, that's really great. Uh, so yeah, yeah, I would go ahead and go down that angle. And if you really want to get more specific, get Donnie's book and refute his post-trib pre-wrath rapture view. You know? That way we have information on that area because he borrows from Kushner. He's been influenced by Dr. Dino, Kent Hovind, and a couple others. So it's a little bit more specific view, but his book's already written. I think he told me that the one in the book form is the ones that are up to date. But the one that's in Kindle form is not up to date, not the most revised, or maybe it's the other way around. I don't know, but yeah, look into that. That might be a good thing to do, and it's easier to go to critique one writer on a one particular topic than to critique the whole system. So so that way you could use the skills that you would use. Hey, Adam, Joseph, and hey, Jossie. Yeah, you can rap about anything. It's just, um, yeah, I think that would be a good idea, basically, to focus in on one author, one writer, and go from there. He said it's pretty consequent, so I think I would have to cover stuff like Israel Church. Right, you do, and all of the. I think Okay, good. Yeah, because what you could do is you could basically evaluate Donnie's book for, is he making dispensational distinctions? He's not. Does he believe that there's a future for Israel, and what shape does that take? Another book that you could get is Who is Israel by Matt First, which is on Kindle. And I've read some of it. Those are things you could deal with. And then you can find stuff from Alan Kirshner's blog that would be helpful for that. In addition to that, there's another student. You can check the International Society of Biblical Hermeneutics YouTube page, as well as Jacob Heeden presented a paper, if I remember right, on pre-wrath rapture as it related to Matthew 24, I think. He sent it to me before. I have to look on my Google Drive or whatever. But no, that would be good, because whatever you do in research methods class, you could take that, and whenever you take eschatology class with, say, Mundragon, you can expand it, you know? you can go in more detail. You could dive deeper in those particular areas, and so that would be great. Um, and no matter, there's several different classes that you could, take that research that you've done there and apply it to other ones. Yeah. Also, if you're talking about Matthew 24 and specifically, look at the Schaefer Conference. I think the 2021. Dr. Dean wrote a paper, and as well as Jeremy Thomas wrote a paper, and I think both of those are in the Schaefer Theological Journal. So there's areas where you could interact as well. Fruit and Bombs, Fruit Steps in the Messiah would be an area. He kind of used the rapture in Matthew 24. John Hart views the rapture in John 24. I don't. There's just some areas where you could be digging at, and not only would it benefit you, it'll benefit me, because as you know, I'm going to be having more eschatology debates in the future. And people don't know this about SFT, but Donnie and I, we have a lot of backstage discussions or background discussions, on WhatsApp and stuff like that. So I know he'll read and consider other things, especially if something is written specifically on the topic of his book, or, something related to that. So that might be a good angle to go with. Let's see what else. Y'all just keep praying for Janet. I think she's got some plans. Soon as Halloween's over, I think November 1st, she was already putting Christmas lights up. And she puts the lights up and does all that stuff to witness in her neighborhood, and I don't know if she's going to be reaching out to the kids for this Christmas. Y'all know sometimes she feeds them and teaches them and all of that stuff. I don't know exactly what all she has planned, but just keep her in prayer in midst of that, And we have plans to see each other very soon. We're just praying for all of that to work out. Have medical issues and things like that, but I think it's going to work. Hey, PB. Hey, PB, my mom was listening and she said something about you're on a mission trip. Is that correct? Are you on a mission trip? See, whenever I got home from the doctor's office yesterday, I went straight to sleep. I went totally straight to sleep, and I slept all night until I had to go here. And part of that was because I had to come in early yesterday since I had those doctor's appointments, and I used 2 hours paid time off so that I don't miss that mission to Mars. Yeah. I don't know where she gets that stuff from. Maybe she misunderstood. Somebody was on a missions trip. I don't know who it was. I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to tell y'all this. I'm almost certainly in the Focus Free Grace camp. Even though I probably have been more influenced by some of the flexible riders. The problem is flexible is too flexible. And you could hold all kinds of beliefs and be flexible. And so, I listen to GS, when I'm driving to work and back. And Wilkin was using the example from Dick Swixton about a military acronym, BLUF. Bottom line, up front, first, BLUF. And, he was arguing that the promise of eternal life ought to be put up first. But then at the end of the video, Wilkin says, one of my pet peeves is arguing about the deity of Christ with the Mormons when they come to your door, but you don't tell them about the promise of life. And I was like, okay, so I believe that you should include, you should include the deity of Christ in your gospel presentation. But another thing that they clarified is said, we're not telling you to not mention other things in the gospel. I think this is from another video. You should include those things as a way to persuade people about it. But the bullseye, what's the bullseye? Um, so I think I am a variation of focus. I think there's more than one focus free camp, you know. Um, so I just want to put that out there, because even though Toronto and we have differences, it's kind of interesting. His undergraduate's in sociology, so was mine. He went to seminary, and so did I. Uh, he's not a dispensationalist. That's a difference we have. But you know, I'm willing to work through those things. Okay, so I'm looking right here. I'm reading. I got 2 more minutes. I'm focus free grace, and I totally agree with the too flexible thing. That's what put me in the focus camp. Flexing is like a pipeline, that ecumenical universalism almost. Yeah. And I don't mind listening to a person that may be on the fringes, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to identify with the fringes. I mean, I will consider a good idea, a good argument from anywhere, and a good challenge from anywhere. But far as identification, it just makes sense, that focus. And it's ironic that this term focus free grace didn't come around more often, because their magazine, their radio has been called Grace and Focus for a long time. Yeah, the three P's. Yeah, you would, just if you use the bluff thing, you would put the promise up front and then use the others for persuasion. All right, guys, I need to go in to work. Y'all have a good day. God bless. Check out more content, old stuff, new stuff, and keep me in prayer as I go on Kelly Power's show tonight, most likely, and try to connect with that audience as well. God bless.